So now I would like for you to tell me from within you, did it feel different to you when you were talking from your head versus your power center?
Absolutely.
And what was the difference?
So when you're in your head, it's this like
Talk about your head, not when you're in your head.
okay.
When I was in my
When I'm
head,
in my head, it's a constant stream of what's next, what's next, what's next, what's next. What did I do? What's next? What did I do? What's next? My days are very
and from this
busy.
experience,
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm saying from this experience. So when I talk about it up here, it's really the frenetic action of the day. But when I ground in and come way down, I tap into far more of the emotion and the experience behind it, as opposed to just the news of it, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. How did it feel? How did it feel in your body when you were in your head speaking and when you were in your power center speaking? Was it different?
Yeah, and I would be curious to know if anyone in the audience watched the first part. I can feel my whole body like tense up, my shoulders rise when I find myself up here. And the second I drop down further into my body, everything drops down with me. So I would tell you that not only does the quality of what I'm thinking changes, but my total feeling in my body shifts down as well.
Good. So you touched on this. It was something I was going to say too. If you're watching the replay and did this, notice for yourself how it felt to you in your body. And then also notice, if you're watching the replay, how you felt in relation to Susan. So usually when someone is speaking from their head, we feel disconnected. And then when they're speaking from their power center, it's like a warm fuzzy almost, even though you can be in business doing this. It's not like you're going to be namby-pamby. And it has a connecting factor that you don't associate and at all have when you're speaking from the head. The head is more like a list and a reporting and all of this. But down here, you're speaking from who you truly be. So you're going to be speaking energetically to the beingness, if you will, of another being. And they will get it on a deeper level. And they don't even have to know you're doing this. You don't have to know anything about energy.
That's what I love about it.
So did you notice, was the content different between your head and when you were speaking from your power center?
Yes, completely different.
And
from my head was the daily list, the Rolodex flipping, right? This, that, and the next thing. From lower, from the power center, it's really far more of the experience, of the emotion, of the connection. If I could just add one thing in here for me, and if I'm getting ahead, let me know. The difference in my writing when I take a moment to go from here into here is completely different. So the message, what I say, how I say it, the way it comes from me is completely different than when the message is coming from something I'm thinking about versus something that I know about or that I feel from within.
And so I'm going to ask you, and also those who are viewing this later, who would you rather be around? Someone that's in their head or someone that's in their power center? Who do you want to have relationships with?
Yeah, even as a personal self, I enjoy the latter self much more than the frenetic self.
And I've had so many people tell me after they come to a little intro about this, that their relationship with their significant other and their children and their other people in their family and their friends has changed just by this one simple thing.
Completely. And I can attest to that, even just in the way that, again, like from a business standpoint, how I write my content, how I do my emails, what I'm working on when I'm doing my posts, all of that changes. But when my energy shows up not in that frenetic state, my children react differently to it immensely. So does my husband, so does my family, so does my team. But I also find that I'm a lot less quick to anger. I have a lot more patience. I'm in a place of gratitude versus, trying to drive and push things through. It's a far more of like an energetic flow state than it is like hardcore. And I'm very much the hardcore. We got to do this. 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 When I let go of that and I let things flow a little bit more, it's completely different.
Yeah, it's a softening in a sense.
Mm-hmm.
And so people can hear it in a whole different way. It really allows you to have deeper connections with people, even if they've just met you.
It's so true.
They have a trust level of you because you're being who you truly be, and they sense that, even though they don't know what it is. That's okay. They get it.
Yeah, and that's what I was saying earlier. I'll have people say to me, "What's different?" Like, what's different? And I kind of smile because it's sort of hard to explain. Like, even in this moment here, I'm sure people are popping in and out of this live stream if they're not watching it from the start and saying, "What are they doing? What is this?" Because it's not anything you would learn in school. It's not anything, that's part of your college curriculum. Most workplaces don't teach anything like this. So, the opportunity to tap into, a gift like this is truly, it's truly life-changing. And this is just in a couple of minutes.
And so explaining is in the head. You
Mhm.
can't explain this. You have to experience it.
To experience it,
Because
yes.
it's in the energy. We are
Marianne,
energetic.
Marianne,
We're
Marianne
in
and
a
I,
we're in a higher frequency vibration
yeah.
when we're in our power center. We're in a lower frequency vibration when we're in our head. And I'm going to add, with everything going on in the world, in my opinion, it is so important to be in a high frequency vibration so that you can stay above the fray, if you will.
Yes. And I want to like sort of caveat onto that as well. Marianne and I have done this previously with a live group where we sent people out into breakout rooms to actually do this. And the feedback over and over again was they left thinking, right? I don't even know what this means. And then they did it and they came back and they said too, I couldn't explain this to anyone. Like you couldn't explain this to anyone. And I think the other thing that if anyone's sort of practicing this and trying this at home, I worked with Marianne over the course of, I think we did at least 3 months at a time, and we did a couple of sessions, and I did some group things that she did. So, at this point, the process of me finding my power center, getting into that light glow, putting myself is automatic and it's easy. But I'm thinking back to the first couple of sessions with you, and I was like, what do you mean power center? Like, I couldn't even find it because it was this grinchy little, do you remember that? How funny that I was like, it's like a little nugget. I'm like, how is this little nugget supposed to protect all of me? And so a lot of the work that we did for the first couple of sessions was just even figuring out how to make this thing bigger and like bring it out into my body so that it could actually be a protector to me. So if that's not making sense, that's definitely something that comes.
And I'm going to add to that oftentimes for women in particular, when we are dropping down into this area, this is really your womb space. A lot has happened in womb space. And sometimes women have a hard time going there.
Yeah.
And
I had a
so we
very
do
hard
a lot
time.
we do a lot of clearing around being able to get there very gently, step by step, whatever it takes, so that you can fully be in your power center. And any time that you have your attention in the lower half of your body, you'll feel kind of a little bit of a heaviness in the lower half of your body because you're so grounded. And when you're in that space, nobody can knock you off. You're in your power.
Hmm. And, I'll share one story about that very quickly. Just difference night and day between, sort of before working with Marianne and then after working with Marianne. So I had an incident not that long ago where there was a significant, overcharge to a client. And there was a real question over whether or not we were going to have to pay this money back. And it was a good deal of money, especially for, a smaller business owner. And I have to tell you, I didn't even lose sleep over it. And there was a time in the not that distant past that something like that would have sent me like, I wouldn't have slept for days. I would have worried morning, noon, and night about what was going to happen. I would have gone so far down a rabbit hole that, I would have, it would have been excruciating. But because I don't really need to do that anymore, it was just a thing, and the thing was going to be what the thing was going to be, and we would deal with whatever that thing was going to be. And I think that's a direct result of being able to be strong from within. I don't get knocked off of center that much anymore. I do, but not anything like I used to. Not
Well, and the
anything
thing
like I
is,
used
when you do get off center
to.
or
Mhm.
knocked off center, it doesn't take long to come back.
No.
See,
Mm-mm.
that's the real key.